2-1 buydowns, 1-0 buydowns, seem to be popular right now, and I think it's important for everybody to just kind of understand what these things actually are. So you might see, I saw an advertisement actually recently advertising a 1-0 buy down, available to everybody until June 30th. Everybody, your payment could be as low as, you know, your rate could be as low as 5.25 or 4.8 or whatever it is. So what a temporary buy down, these 2-1 or 1-0 buy downs, what these are is they are temporary buy downs to your interest rate. They last essentially a year. So a 2-1 buy down, basically what you are doing is you are taking, let's just say for round numbers that rates are 6%. Um, let's say you're doing a 2-1 buy down and the market rate is 6. The first year, the rate that you are actually going to make payments on is 4%. The next year after that, the rate that you're going to actually make payments on is 5%. Then the last year it goes back to 6%, what it is. So what you are actually doing is you are being charged the difference in interest up front. So say you're borrowing $100,000, rate is 6, you're you're doing a 2-1 buy down. You are taking that money up front, putting it into an escrow account, just like escrows for taxes and insurance, and then you're making your monthly payment based on that lower rate of 4%. And then that money that you paid at closing or somebody paid at closing is being used to pay that difference of 2%. So, what I like to stress to people is that this temporary buy down does not actually save you any money. You're not actually paying a lower interest rate. All you're doing is setting aside money. Somebody's setting it aside, right? The difference, 2% on $100,000 is 2 grand. So somebody is taking, in this case, roughly $3,000 to buy it down by 2% the first year, 1% the second year. That's 3%. 3% of $100,000 is $3,000 roughly. There's a little bit more detailed calculation that goes into it. But somebody is setting aside that $3,000 and they're taking 4% from you, 2% from that escrow account. That doesn't actually save you any money. Somebody is still paying that interest to the bank. The bank is still getting 6%. You're not paying 4%. Somebody is paying it. You could have just as easily, rather than taking that money and using it to essentially prepay your monthly payment obligation, you could have used that towards closing costs. You could have used it towards a permanent rate buy down where you're paying points to actually get a lower rate so that you are paying the bank less interest every month. If you can't tell by like my tone of voice and my inflection here, I'm not really a big fan of these programs. I think that they are a marketing tool and they're a sales tool to make people feel like they can afford a property that they otherwise couldn't afford by saying, oh, well my rate is only 4%. I'm going to save all this money, and when it goes up it's okay because I'm planning on getting a raise and I'll make money anyway. Well, what happens is at the end of the day, the rate that was available on that first day that you took this temporary buy down is still your rate. So the bank wins because they're getting you to commit to a loan that you maybe couldn't afford. I don't know. It depends on your situation, right? They're still getting their 6%. You could have easily used that money that was going towards that temporary buy down towards other things, or had that money, basically kept that money in your pocket. So one way or another, you're paying it. Even if the seller is paying it on your behalf, you're paying it through the sales price. You're paying it basically money that you don't keep, right? Like money you don't get is money spent. If I had the opportunity to have $3,000 and now I don't, it's the same thing as me spending $3,000. So you are taking this money and you're basically, it's a budgeting trick to make you think, it gives you the illusion that you are actually paying less money every month when you could do this same exact thing without doing a temporary buy down. You take that $3,000, you put it in a savings account. 1,200 comes from your normal account that you would normally pay your mortgage from, and every single month you take the other 200 out of the savings account and pay the mortgage. So it's just with a little bit of financial discipline, you can accomplish the exact same thing without tying up your money in the lender's escrow account on your behalf. It doesn't save you any money. And ultimately, the only person that really it actually benefits is the mortgage broker that sold it to you. You know why? Because at the end of that 2 year period, you have something called payment shock, where you were used to paying $1,200 a month, then it went up to 1,400, then it went up to 1,500, right? Now all of a sudden you're out of your monthly budget. Like you felt like you were okay at 1,200, but now your payment is going up. Your taxes probably adjusted too. Um, Based on your new sales price. So like all of a sudden your payment is $700 higher than what it was when you first bought the house. And you know who you're calling? You're calling that mortgage broker who gave you the 2-1 buy down. You're saying, hey, help, my payment is up. What can I do? How can I get this payment down? And they are sitting there. They're happy to sell you a refinance transaction and make another commission off of you, to help give you some relief, all from a program that they sold you to begin with. So I don't I don't like these programs. I think that they are not well explained by most mortgage professionals that are offering them. I don't think that people really quite understand exactly what they're getting themselves into. Not that it's inherently a bad thing, but it's not good. You know what I mean? It's not something that it almost gives me like used car sales vibes, where like people are explaining, oh, like your payment's going to be this much lower for the first year. It's great, blah blah blah. It's awesome, and they don't really delve into the mathematics of like how it's actually working. And I think it's super important that when you are selling someone a financial product, something that they are going to be paying for, that they understand exactly how this works, and how the money is divided up and how it's allocated. Because I don't think that most of the time this is really being explained to people, and they end up in this situation where a couple years down the road their payment is much higher, it's not affordable, and they're just calling that same person back or calling somebody back to do another transaction, which was not necessary, to begin with. It's not, it's great for us. I have a, as much as I would love to pick up refinance business and do another transaction and earn twice as much money from somebody a couple years down the road, like I just can't do that. Ethically speaking, I think it's wrong. Now, if somebody, there are very unique situations where this program totally could be advantageous, like somebody who knows for sure that they have a promotion, or some sort of bonus, or their income is going to increase substantially on the horizon, and they just need a little bit of monthly cash flow relief for a short period of time. That's different, as long as you understand like what you're getting into, that it's a temporary thing, that you're not actually saving money and it's just a cash flow tool. I don't i don't i don't have a problem with this on its surface, as a program, but I think that it is wildly misused by people in my industry to push people into loans, that they probably are uncomfortable paying, and maybe can't afford. So that's my 10 cents on the matter. If you can't tell, I'm kind of passionate about this type of stuff.